Hello everybody, it's Mrs. Long. I'm going to try this one more time and hope that I don't make any mistakes and that I don't have any technology problems to speak of. Okay, so the first one, we did this in class, so if you weren't here, this is what we did. You can follow along on your own paper if you printed it out from the PowerPoint, or you can just follow along, and but I'm going to move pretty fast since this is what we did in class. So first I'm going to estimate, and 4 8/100 is closest to 4, closer to 4 than it is to 5. I'm going to subtract, did it again. Hopefully that's my only mistake. And then I'm going to subtract 1 74/100, which is closest to 2. So my answer is going to be somewhere close to 2. So when I subtract, I'm going to put my decimal point, and 8 minus 4 is 4, and 0 minus 7 I can't do. So I need to go next door. My 4 becomes a 3, and my 0 becomes a 10. So 10 minus 7 is 3, and 3 minus 1 is 2. So I get 2 34/100 as my answer. Easy peasy, right? Then number 3, we're going to check our answers. Instead of doing an estimate, we're going to check our answers. So I'm going to put my little 0 there for my placeholder. They've already lined everything up for me, and put my decimal in my answer and subtract. 5 minus 0 is 5. 0 minus 5 I can't do. Go next door. 6 becomes a 5. 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. 5 minus 1 is 4. 1 minus nothing is 1. So I have 14 55/100. But I'm going to check my answer. I know that I can check my answer by adding my answer to my next smaller number, and then I'm going to get my top number because that's my biggest number. So 14 55/100, which is what I came up with as my answer for the subtraction problem, and 1 50/100 as my other add-in, and I'm going to subtract. Put my decimal. 5 minus 0 is 5. 5 plus 5 rather is 5. And 5 plus 5 is 10. Put down my 0 and carry my 1. 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 1 is 6, and 1 plus nothing is 1. So I got 16 5/100, and that's what I started with, 16 5/100. So if those match, I know that I got my answer right, and I can box it in. On number 5, we're doing algebra. So we're just solving for this number. But I want you to see what that looks like. We're looking at something where we know that we have 7 on the top. If we were like doing a little bar graph thingamajiggy here. So we had a bar, we would have 7.3 would be this one. And then we want to know what n is. We don't know. And they gave us this one. And then we know this one is 1.9. So we're looking for this part. 7.3 is the whole, and we're looking for this piece. We have 1.9. So I'm going to start with my big number, which is 7 3/10. I can't subtract n because I don't know what it is, but I know I can subtract my 1.9. So I'm going to subtract 1 9/10. Have my decimal in my answer. 3 minus 9 I can't do. Go next door and borrow. 7 becomes a 6. 3 becomes 13. 13 minus 9 is 4. And 6 minus 1 is 5. So I have 5 4/10. Well, just like on this one, I can check that to see if I'm right by adding 5 1/4, 5.4, which I just got there, plus 1.9, which I got here, to see if I get the top number. So let's see if it works. 5 4/10, 1 9/10. Add them because I'm adding to get to that. 4 plus 9 is 13. Put down my 3 and carry my 1. 1 plus 5 is 6, plus 1 is 7. So I got 7 3/10, which is what I started with. So I know that 5 4/10 is my answer. Okay. Number 7, similar situation, only we don't have to solve for n, we just have to solve the problem. This one should be easy peasy. So 14 36/100, 12 65/100. I'm subtracting. I'm going to put my decimal. 6 minus 5 is 1. 3 minus 6 I can't do. I'm going to go next door. My 4 becomes a 3. This 3 becomes 13. 13 minus 6 is 7, and 3 minus 2 is 1, and 1 minus nothing is 0, sorry. So 1 and 71 hundredths is what I got. I'm going to add these together to see if I'm doing the right thing. So I'm going to say 1 and 71 hundredths plus 12 and 65 hundredths. I'm taking my two smaller numbers, adding them up to get my bigger number, biggest number that is. So 1 plus 5 is 6. 7 plus 6 is 13. Put down my 3 and carry my 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. And nothing plus 1 is 4. So 14 and 36 hundredths is what I started with. So I know I did it right. So I can box in my answer, 1 and 71 hundredths. Then we have a word problem down at the bottom. It says that John compared 2 labels of peanut butter. Brand X has 16.2 grams of fat. Brand Y has 12.7 grams of fat. How much more fat does brand X contain than brand Y? Well, if we were doing a strip diagram of this, we would have one strip would be X, and then a shorter strip would be Y. So X is 16.2 and Y is 12.7. And this is what we need to know. We want to know what the difference is right here. We don't know that. Okay, so I'm going to subtract the big one minus the part I know, which is 12.7. So I'm going to say 16 and 2/10 minus 12 and 7/10, and put my decimal. 2 minus 7 I can't do. Go next door and borrow. 6 becomes a 5. 2 becomes a 12. 12 minus 7 is 5. 5 minus 2 is 3. And 1 minus nothing is nothing. So the answer is 3 and 5/10. You can't even see the answer. I'm so sorry. 3 and 5/10 grams. That's the difference between the fattier peanut butter and the less fat peanut butter. Okay, so you guys are going to be responsible for doing all of the evens for your homework. So you're going to do 2, where you're going to estimate. You're going to do number 4, where you have to check your answer. You're going to do number 6, where you have to write it vertically. And, I'll set that one up for you. Number 8, you're going to have to write it vertically, and then do number 10. So number 6, that's the algebra one, and that one is a little bit confusing. If you look at it, again, it's a strip diagram. N is what we don't know. And we know that this piece, 8 and 12 hundredths, plus the 11 and 52 hundredths, we know that these two pieces are as big as N. So if I take this one and I subtract this, I'm going to get that. If I take this one and subtract that, I'm going to get this. So in order to get this, I have to add them together. So I have to get to my biggest number. So we're going to do that. We're going to say 8 and 12 hundredths and 11 and 52 hundredths. And we're adding because we know that if it's in the first position, it's our biggest number. And the only way to get the biggest number is to add the two smaller numbers. So I've set you up for that one. Everything else, feel free to go back and watch it as many times as you need to make sense of it. I know I went kind of fast, but it takes forever to download these things. So there we go. So if you have any questions, I hope I see you tomorrow so that we can go over it again in class. And we will be doing this side in class. And then tomorrow's activity is mixing it up. We're going to be adding and subtracting with decimals. So I will see you tomorrow. Love you. Bye.